The world has a serious problem, a problem which most people are refusing to acknowledge or to address. And not only is it a serious problem that the world has, it's also the worst problem that it possibly could have. And that is that we are inflicting and allowing the ultimate harm, the worst harm possible on animals and humans, which is forcing them to exist in an unsafe world where they have a very high chance of being trapped in a life of extreme hell and a cruel death, where they overwhelmingly would have been better off not being born. For animals, literally all of them would be better off not being born. They have terrible lives, they can't look after themselves, and in nature, over 99% of them die gruesome, terrible deaths as babies. So you wouldn't want to experience that, nobody should have to experience that, and yet the vast majority of animals are experiencing the very worst life possible, which is being eaten alive as a baby, and then the rest of them are having horrible lives and deaths as well, where they're starving to death, full of parasites, running for their lives all day every day, and then being caught and eaten alive. There's no fun or balance there when you're starving to death, freezing to death, running for your life, in constant danger, unable to find reliable food sources, have no medicine, no shelter. It's essentially a life of pure pain, misery, agony, and fear, 24/7, followed by an extremely cruel death. Animals definitely have it the worst, but humans are also having an extremely terrible time as well. You have humans trapped in lives of pure hell with extreme depression, who then commit suicide. You have humans that die horrific deaths as babies, that get abused to death as babies, that get brain cancer and other terrible diseases such as chronic pain, extreme disabilities. People get into accidents, they get injuries that ruin their lives and trap them in pure misery. There is literally no way to guarantee that life being born into this world won't be trapped into a life of pure extreme hell, a life of extreme suffering and a cruel death. In fact, this is happening every single day en masse. So currently we give these victims zero moral priority, zero moral consideration. If somebody wants to go and have a child and trap them in a life of pure extreme hell, they have the freedom to do that, and they are doing it. Animals, on the other hand, can't control themselves, can't control their reproduction, they just do it, and are trapping their offspring in lives of pure extreme hell, where most of them have an extremely terrible life, an extremely terrible death during childhood, and overwhelmingly would have been better off not being forced to exist in all of this cruelty and extreme suffering. For animals in nature particularly, their conditions will never improve, never have improved in all of history, and yet they have the worst conditions, the worst suffering out of all life on this planet. So it's literally impossible to improve conditions for wild animals. There's too many different species, too many different situations. Essentially, to provide 100% safety for these animals from a bad life is completely impossible and would require, effectively, magic. So there really is no way of guaranteeing 100% safety from a bad life for any life in this world. We're all in danger of it. We're all in danger of being trapped in a life of pure hell, and lots of us are being trapped in it. Animals in particular have it the worst, and there's literally no way to improve their conditions at all, which is why no one ever has done. What are you going to do? Prevent predation? Turn every animal into a vegetarian? And the thing is that suffering is actually a necessary and irremovable part of life. Without suffering, animals won't be able to survive. You cannot remove their pain because they will simply die. They won't feel hunger, they won't know when they've hurt themselves, they won't be able to survive. It's the most necessary part of life for survival, and there is no way to replace it. You can't just go tweaking with the brains of animals, with their biologies. Essentially, you would end up with a plant, but really to provide 100% safety for all life, a guarantee of not being trapped in a life of hell or extreme suffering, only non-existence can do this. So if we're going to prevent all of this suffering for animals and for humans and for other life, then we have two options. We can work towards using the practical solution that we already have, which is euthanasia for total extinction, or we can try to do essentially nothing for wild animals because there is no solution. There is no solution for wild animals. You can't remove their ability to suffer. They would simply stop functioning and die. There's no way to limit the amount of suffering and pain that they can experience because, again, they would still end up being trapped in lives of pure hell and pure suffering with no balance. So there's no way to make every animal in nature immortal, immune to every single disease, no longer need to eat, immune to every injury, emotionally happy, at the right temperature at all times, not freezing to death or burning to death in wildfires. There is essentially literally nothing that can be done for wild animals. There is no way to improve their conditions. It's a completely impossible task. You can't even begin to improve their conditions. So extinction is the only answer for wild animals and for all life, because even if you can improve human conditions, they will most likely never reach 100% safety to where it's completely safe, guaranteed to be safe, to keep forcing life into this world. So we should work towards a world where no life is forced to exist in this world without its consent, not asking for it, and to have the dangers imposed where the unlucky will inevitably suffer horrifically. It's not fair, it's not acceptable, and that will always happen unless we have total extinction. Now, working towards total extinction for animals and the universe, if possible, requires humanity continuing for hundreds, if not thousands of years. During this time, we can improve conditions for humanity and work towards a perfect world for humanity. So while humanity is being useful for extinction and providing safety from suffering and forced existence for other life, they have up until the time that they're still useful to either be made forcefully extinct or to get lucky enough to find a way to keep life in this world with absolutely no risk of it ever going wrong. So we are working towards perfect conditions for humans, and we are working towards creating conditions where it's acceptable for life to continue. However, that's not the priority, and it's actually extremely possible that we will never get to a point where conditions are acceptable for humans or any other life to exist. But that doesn't matter as much as what we can do to prevent suffering and to provide safety from it. So we have to do animal extinction on Earth while removing our dependence on them, research how life develops on planets, and find a way to prevent it from actually happening once we understand how it does happen. We can do this for Earth, and if we can do it for other planets as well, and potentially even the rest of the universe, then that's what we should do, and that's what our movement is working towards doing. If we can leave the job to AI or robots who have billions of years to do it, then there's no reason not to give it a go. So our movement, the pro-extinction movement, is about doing as much as practically possible to provide safety from being forced to exist in unsafe conditions in this world and to protect life from being forced into a life of extreme hell. So join us at the pro-extinction movement, proextinction.com, get involved, read our website, read our manifesto, read our FAQ, get in touch, ask us questions, and join the movement. Do activism with us, help us grow the movement until we have enough people to actually carry out the abolition of suffering. So get in touch today and get involved.